Okay, so we're back with some more Assassin's Creed 3. Last time we were playing as Connor and we finally got our Assassin's threads. We've also been on a little expedition with Desmond, got hold of one of those little batteries, the little power cubes. So I think I'm going to have a try and see if I can stick that somewhere, but also we're going to have a chat with some of our pals here. And, first most though, we shall read some emails, because... well, I wanted to see what the relevance of them was. Oh, apparently animals exist in the game, because she's modified the animus to include them. Interesting. Weather system, faster fast travel. This is just stuff that's actually been added into the game, but they said that they've modified the animus. I actually find the targeting system, which has supposedly been modified to make it more easy, less intuitive. It's less useful to me. It's harder to get in and out of combat, so... In fact, it's easier to get out of combat, but harder to stay in when you want to. That's a little creepy. Also very creepy. Oh, holy crap. Apparently it's Juno using the email system. That's interesting. Yes, the other ones seem to have disappeared. To be honest, it's very hard to keep track of the aliens, I've found. Well, there we go. Mostly just chit-chat about how things have been modified.
I know everyone thinks I'm being silly, but I can't shake the feeling we're being watched.
We are being watched. By Juno. Or some version of her.
Do you think it's a recording? Or is she a ghost? Or something else? Is she talking to us the way Minerva talked to Ezio?
No clue. I mean, who knows what else they were working on down here? There's still so many rooms we don't have access to.
But do you think she's like literally down here, waiting somewhere, still alive?
Still alive? That's mental. That I mean she'd be at least 75, 80,000 years old? Well, powerful, yeah, but not that powerful.
They came down here looking for a way to survive. Maybe they found one.
Reasonable. We could pursue that further, but to be honest, at this point, I think it's best for me to stop dilly-dallying and get to work. Trying to find a place to plug this battery in. This seems like a dead end. Yeah. Unless I can... No. I was thinking I might be able to grab that little crevice there and sidle around. In fact, I'm not sure why I can't. Nope. It's not doing anything. No. And I can't seem to wall jump after climbing up it either, which is a little annoying. Although probably included by design. Oh, this might be the particular spot.
When we thought we could be saved, we sought to face the sun's wrath and contain it. 4 towers would be built to pull her fury into this place and dispel it. But even with all we knew, with all we had, it would take too long. 1,000 years we could labor and still the work would not be done. The first tower was never completed. The project abandoned. We moved on. But while we labored on other endeavors, a few returned. They thought to automate the process. Metal might finish what flesh could not.
Okay then, so it looks as though the plan is somehow related to these towers that will absorb the sun's energy and stop it from cooking the planet? Maybe? Not really sure at this point. Does the cube go in here? It does not. Maybe if we climb up these stairs, we'll find another place for a cube to go in. Maybe. Ooh, free running elements.
If we could not meet the sun's cruel embrace, perhaps we might rebuke it. Already we could generate the fields to protect us in times of strife. But these were small and simple things. To replicate them on a scale the size of a world, we lack the energy to make it so. Half the world, they said then. It is better than none at all. We tried. Again, we failed. A quarter, they asked. Even this we could not do. A sixth, an eighth, a tenth, they cried. The answer was still the same. Perhaps in time a city might be spared. But it was time we did not have. So we moved on.
So it actually looks like the Four Towers project was a failure, and so they tried to create some force fields for it, but that also didn't work. Is this another little cutscene? Oh, it's where the battery goes.
Wonder what's inside.
Only one way to find out.
Weird that there's a little puddle there. That shouldn't have been my first thought, really. Okay, so it looks as though part of the bridge has been extended, but not all of it. So, looks like the basis of probably this entire game will be completing large chunks of the Connor story, finding another cube in the Desmond side of things, and then continuing to extend the bridge. And then the game will end probably shortly after we reach the other side. Oh, that was interesting. A little slide there. Let's go speak to Sean and see what he has to say on the matter.
Ah, Desmond, there you are. Can I ask a favour?
Maybe.
When this is all over, I'd like to try turning the dial back on the Animus. Like, all the way back. To the time of the first civilization.
You think it would work?
There was no real loss of fidelity when you visited Altair. Then again, that was about 1,000 years ago, and I'm looking at going back at least 70,000 more.
Sure, I'd be up for it. It'd be interesting to see what things were like back then.
Excellent. I think it would prove most enlightening. So this is how it started.
What are you up to?
Just brushing up on my American history. I say history. They certainly teach you strange things in the States.
Like what?
Well, for all the talk of this being a revolutionary war, it was a civil one. Well, not that kind of civil. I mean, there was no America versus Britain. It was Brit on Brit action. And you can clearly see how the whole thing got started. One war gave birth to the other.
You mean the 7 Years' War?
Exactly. Seems the Crown overspent in its attempt to keep the French out, wound up with a great deal of debt. Believing that the colonists should help to shoulder the burden, new taxes were created. It was a reasonable request, even if Parliament was rather, well, undiplomatic about it.
Well, it's not really fair to tax people for a war they didn't want any part of.
What? Didn't want any part of? Did you not notice George Washington with Edward Braddock? He was right there in the middle of it. So here you have the Crown spending who knows how much money to secure a place for the colonists to thrive, and then, when they ask for a little bit of help... Right, look, think of it this way. King George and the colonists, they all go out to dinner, right? And when the bill comes, George asks for them to kick in and pay their share. fair enough. But keep in mind, he's been taking them out to dinner, gratis, for decades now. But the colonists, oh no, they insist they only had a glass of water and a side salad. Never mind the table's full of half-eaten food and empty bottles of wine. Now when the king points this out, what do the colonists do? Oh, they flip the table over and they storm out the restaurant. Probably intending to return later and burn it down.
You left out the part where the king pointed a gun at the colonists and asked them to cover dinner for everyone in the restaurant.
Right, yeah, interesting take. If he pulled out a gun, and I'm not sure he did, it would only have been after the 100th failed attempt at getting them to pay their fair share.
But how do you define someone's fair share?
Oh, well, with a war, apparently.
Is this a graphical glitch on Desmond's eyes, or is he just meant to look like that? Also, Sean's head keeps popping into his neck when he's crouched there, and his motion paths seem to be fairly limited to the point where he's pretty constantly crouching there.
I wonder how many other places like this exist.
There are dozens of them, all over the world.
And somehow no one's ever found one before us.
I don't think that's true.
Oh?
When I was at Abstergo, Vidic talked about silencing discoveries made by non-Templars. And I'm sure Abstergo has dug up plenty.
The things they must know.
Regretting throwing in with us?
No. Just looking forward to when we can finally trounce those bastards so I can dive into their archives. Oh, I think I found a lead on another power source. Later, Desmond. I'm in the middle of something very important right now. That's a rule. Just follow that as a rule.
I don't suppose I can climb along here, can I? Oh, no, that leaves me to fall to my death. Or just, you know, that didn't really happen, it was a dream. Whew, plot hole covered. Have I lost track of the Animus? I think it's time to reunite with Connor.
Good luck, Desmond.
These are troubled times. The already uneasy alliance between the Crown and its subjects frays. And behind them both the Templars plot, pulling strings and moving pieces. History dictates they seek order through control. But how will they affect it here? Who supports them? And what conspiracies have they already spun? All
Spare
these
a moment.
things I must determine. Of course, for only by
Have a
knowing
look.
my enemy can I hope to stop them.
What is it?
Xingbao, or rope dart if you prefer. One of the many plans given to us by Shao Yun to...
Sorry.
We'll have to work on this.
Ganondogo,
Yes, my friend.
what brings you here? Is the village all right?
For now.
What do you mean? What has happened?
Men came, claiming we had to leave. They said that the land was being sold, and that the Confederacy had consented. We sent an envoy, but they would not listen.
You must refuse!
We cannot oppose the Sachem, but you're right as well. We cannot give up our home.
Do you have a name? Do you know who is responsible?
He's called William Johnson.
Where is Johnson now?
In Boston, making preparations for the sale.
Sale! This is theft!
Connor, take care. These men are powerful.
What would you have me do? I made a promise to my people.
If you insist upon this course of action, seek out Sam Adams in Boston. He'll be able to help. What have you done?
When my people go to war, a hatchet is buried into a post to signify its start. When the threat is ended, the hatchet is removed.
You could have used a tree.
So that must be where the phrase burying the hatchet comes from. Can't help but notice that the subtitles from before are stuck at the bottom of the screen. Did I load in too quickly? I'm starting to get the feeling that I have. Hopefully if I fast travel, then it should get rid of it. Hopefully. Oh, gosh, there's all kinds of missions. We're going to carry on with the main one just for now, and then I think after this one, we'll give it a go. So, fast travel to the frontier. So we've got to save our village from being sold, and to do that we have to kill Samuel Johnson, who was the Scottish fella who's... No, wait, William Johnson. That's right, we need to meet Samuel Adams. He was the one whose research we recovered near the beginning. Oh, there's my horse. A true assassin horse. It snuck up on me from behind. And thankfully it is summer again. So we get to ride through this delightful scenery. That guard is still on duty there, as was the case last time. It's weird that they just have like a single guard perched on that bit there, but there you go. Yes, the subtitles have gone, I've just noticed. Oh, always forget about the fact that I can spur the horse. Obviously it looks as though some time has passed between the last time we were in the Animus. Connor appears to have aged and rounded off his training to the extent that Achilles is consenting to him trying to kill off the first of the main Templars. Also interesting that bit of history discussion with Sean Hastings there, because I don't really know much about this period. But yes, interesting. Those are some fat deer and stags and whatnot. No time to hunt though. Well, actually we have all the time in the world, but this is an LP and standards and quotas have to be met. Not really though. Why? Oh, so apparently I've already reached a certain level of notoriety. Attack the convoy. Okay. Any particular reason why? That was pretty cool of me, if I do say so myself. Alright, let's loot the wagon, for no particular reason other than that it told me to. Briefly morphed into a sack there. 750 English pounds. Colonist pounds. Oh, got my horse. You did your work well, friend. So that's interesting. Another randomly generated event, I'm guessing. More likely that there's convoys on certain paths throughout the wilderness. Wow, the grass appears to now be... it's rendering as I'm sort of riding through it. Which is interesting. It's got like a pop-up book feel to it now. See? It's all springing up. I guess it's quite handy to have the Animus as a way of explaining away all the little glitches and bugs, and also stuff like this, where scenery pops up as you travel along it. So there we go. Aren't we glad we rode through there? We've made some profit from it. Slaughtered some guards for attempting to guard something. Plundered the wagon. Although I suppose you could argue that as a native it's resources from his homeland being plundered by the guards in the first place. Awful lot of guardsmen around here. Not particularly fussed about who comes or goes, they're just lots of them. I guess I should call them soldiers, really. They're not essentially guardsmen as such, are they? They're proper soldiers that happen to be standing guard at this point in time. We appear to have ourselves an awful lot of scenery to be moving through. Not that I have anything against scenery, you know, it's lovely, look at it all. Springing to life when it notices that I'm around. Lazing on its backside until it's prompted to do otherwise. Ooh, sheep. I don't believe I've interacted with you before. Good sheep. Done. Right. Tick them off the list of the petting zoo requirements. Still not sure where to get arrows from. Apparently he didn't stock up in the several years it's been since I was last with him. We don't have any ammo in our pistol either, or rope darts or poison darts. We don't have much of anything, to be honest. We have money. Countless pounds. We'll throw it at our enemies and blind them with coins and the glitter of gold. We'll create greed, and that will be their true downfall. I think that's my strategy for taking out Johnson.